Hello and happy True Thursday to you. Hope the week has been great and things are really happening. It's March, it's a new month. This year is flying by, and I'm excited about the topic today. This topic I think will resonate with you, and my hope is that you start to unlock really some of these distractions or things that you can really hone in on so that you can understand why and when you change your focus and really what that's doing, not only to the business, not only to your success, but also to yourself, your psyche, and really your trust in you. And so when we look at focus, right, and changing our focus, it's never intentional, right? We don't wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to aggressively pursue my goals and I'm going to intentionally get distracted. That's never the case. I know that that's not true for you. But what is real for most of us, for really all of us, is that we go with the best of intentions in pursuit of what we want. And when things come up, we get triggered, we get distracted. It's so easy to change our focus. It's easy to package up things differently. It's easy to structure things differently, where all of a sudden we're running in the opposite direction of what we originally had intended to. And so, what really catches us up? What really makes it so our focus is turned to distraction? And why does this continue to happen when we have the best of intentions? I have those answers for you today. So let's dive into first what happens as to why we change focus. And so what's really interesting is it really boils down to a couple of very simple things. Number one is if you are pursuing something and you are not seeing the results immediately or the results that you want to see, it can be easy to start doubting the process, doubting yourself, doubting why you started this venture, but most importantly, doubting the outcome that you are chasing. And so when we start to doubt, what happens is the conversation goes external, meaning that we start to look external for validation, resolve, or the answers. And so that's the first thing you need to know is that when you're not seeing the results that you want to see, that is when the initial distraction can come into play and disturb you and your focus. So that's step one, situation one. The second thing is that when you are pursuing something, quite often the reason that you're pursuing it is on some level because there's a certainty once you arrive there, right? You think that when you achieve this goal, then you're going to be certain, confident, feel a certain way, right? We've talked about this a lot. And so when we start to pursue something and we're focused on something, and again, in version one, you're not seeing the results immediately that you want to see, or you're not seeing the results that you want to see, and that triggers that doubt that I just mentioned. It can be easy to change our focus so it's not as painful to fail or succeed. And this is where changing our focus can be very detrimental because what we don't realize is that when we're not following through for ourselves, when we're letting ourselves down by not achieving our goals, what that does to us intrinsically is extremely damaging. What starts to happen is we get in the cycle of seeing that we're not hitting our goals, doubting ourselves, and then not just doubting the goal itself, but we start to doubt our abilities at a deeper level. And that's really why I want to bring this topic to you today is for you to start seeing that it's not about the goal. It's not about the venture you're currently pursuing, but that when you get off track, when you lose focus, it's more about the meaning you're associating with things, whether it's the meaning of succeeding or failing, than it is about the goal itself. And when you can start seeing this truth, then you can start to see the distraction for what it is and regain your focus. So let's talk through that a little bit more. So, in the case of you're pursuing something, not getting the results that you want right away, checking in with yourself and asking yourself, where am I coming from in pursuit of this goal? In other words, what is it that I am hoping to achieve? Who do I think I will be once this is achieved? That can be really enlightening to double check and check yourself on your focus. Because a lot of times, if you're pursuing something and you lose focus or you get distracted because you're not seeing the results that you want to see right away, what can happen is that can start to make the entire empire start to crumble by way of just one layer of focus getting distracted. And so asking yourself and checking yourself regularly, weekly, daily, even, of where's my focus? Who do I think I'm going to become once I achieve what it is I'm pursuing can help you see the truth, which is you are already that person now. You're already that now. The goal, the thing, if you can see that those outward things are not going to define you, what happens is you put yourself in the driver's seat to get back your focus. You see, so often whether it's we're chasing certainty, we're chasing confidence, whatever it is we're chasing, that becomes the focus unconsciously instead of the goal. And so that's where it can be almost confusing, right? When we're pursuing something, we get distracted and we get off course. It's so often because we were chasing or focused on the wrong thing. It wasn't the goal itself, but it was more the feeling. When we're chasing a feeling, what we're saying subconsciously is that we are lacking that. So that becomes the focus, which is the distraction. I'll say that a different way, or say it again so you can process that. When we're focused on the feeling, when we're focused on we're going to become something once ... What we're saying is we lack that. What we're saying is we are without that. That then becomes the focus, which is the actual distraction, right? And so the distraction and what actually gets us caught up is not that we have continual focus problems, but it's more about the feelings that were associated with the focus, that we're coming from a place of lack when we get started. If we can start to see this truth, which is we're coming from a place of lack to start, then what we can do is more intentionally create a path that's whole and complete. And when you achieve the goal, you'll find that it's much easier, much more fluid, because you're not chasing the feeling. You're celebrating the reward once you get there. You're complete the whole path, right? You're not missing anything. You're not coming from the state of lack as you're building your team, your business, whatever, to fulfill the goal. And so that's the whole idea is how do we stop living in distraction and disconnect and start living in connection and creation? What's the difference between distraction and focus? It's truly where you're coming from. And so if you can start to be more conscious of when you're starting a new initiative or you're starting a new project or you have an idea that's you're birthing and bringing to life, ask yourself, where am I coming from in this creation? Do I think that I'm going to be different once I arrive at the destination? Because when we see that we think we're going to be different once we arrive there, what happens is we're saying subconsciously to ourselves, we are reaffirming to ourselves that we are lacking. Thus, we create chaos and insufficiency the entire path. Whereas if we take the time to get connected and see the truth of our reality, which is we are whole and complete right now, whatever we want to feel that we think is outside of us is available inside right this moment. And then when you start the project from that state, you're going to experience more resources, more opportunity, more flow, because you're not reaffirming that you're disconnected and lacking. You're coming from a place of wholeness. And guess what? When you come from a place of wholeness, you arrive to wholeness. It's really a beautiful process, but you first have to be aware of where you're coming from. And so it's really great when you can apply this to being distracted and disconnected, or focused and connected, because it helps you to check yourself. Where am I coming from in this day? And you can even do a daily practice on this. Am I focused? Am I connected? Or am I distracted or disconnected? The best way to resolve this, because we all get in those moments, right? We all are, going to be in the midst of a project and our energy changes and we disconnect and we go into distraction. You check social, you jump on a quick text chain, whatever the distraction might be. The best way to resolve that, to reconcile that, so that you can start coming from a disconnected state, is doing one of two things. A quick 5-minute meditation. It is more powerful for you to take the time to go take a time out with yourself and then go to the meeting, or then go back to the client, or go back to the project you're working on, then continue to grind from a disconnected state. Because when you're disconnected, you are not as resourceful. When you are connected, you are connected to your creative center. You are connected to being resourceful, and it's going to be a lot easier. So it's an investment in yourself when you feel distracted to go take 5, whether that's a quick walk, a quick meditation. And the other option is a quick 5-minute or even a 3-minute breathing exercise. Again, your breath is always with you, right? And when we can just take the time to connect to ourselves, we're going to be so much more powerful in our awareness and in our consciousness of what it is we're creating and a part of, because we're not operating in a disconnected state. We're not operating from lack. When we're distracted, we are disconnected. Our true state is connection. That is our birthright. That is what's true. We have been conditioned to believe that disconnection is the norm. We are here in this day and age, today, in this now moment, to create a new path. And it starts with you. It starts with you being willing to no longer be disconnected in your affairs, but to intentionally connect, so that focus and power and that creative resourcefulness that you all have is how you lead your life, versus how we were programmed, right? Which is just disconnected. We're distracted. We're more connected than ever, but more disconnected than ever. And so when you start to put this into practice, you're going to see such a shift in your energy, in your results, in how you show up, and in the responses from others. If you're willing to pause and put first being connected, you are going to see distraction subside and naturally be operating in a focused, purposeful state. What this does is it is so impactful to your teams, your families, and everyone that you come into contact with. They will feel your presence and they will be moved by you. And at the end of our lives, that is what this is all about. We're going to create money, and we're going to create opportunity and huge success, right? That's who you are, is someone that creates magic in the world. But at the end of the day, your presence is what matters. And if you're disconnected from you with distractions, that is not as impactful as when you take the time to connect to you and really operate from that space in the world of connection and focus. That is what people feel. I'm sure you have been with someone that you can just tell is distracted? You're in a conversation with them and you can see and feel that they're not present with you. When you're in those conversations with those people, you don't feel excited to share deeply. You don't feel excited to connect with them. It's no different for you. When people are around you and you've taken the time to connect to yourself first and come from a connected state, that is completely different than if you're disconnected. So today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, be mindful to operate in a state of connection and focus first on how you're feeling. And notice how you start to feel a little better. Notice how you achieve things a little easier. Notice how things have a different flow to them versus not taking the time to connect. And of course, share with us. We would love to hear from you on what you notice. What do you notice when you're focused and you're connected versus being distracted and disconnected? We'd love to hear from you on that because it's profound when you really start to put this in practice and just how much things change and things move just by operating from a place of connection versus disconnect. So have fun with this, play with this. And like I said, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'll see you next week on Truth Thursday.